Hi, I'm Bonnie with 916 Productions. I'm here today to demonstrate Moss Effects, the newest release from our Fear Finish line of premium faux finish products. The Moss Effects kit consists of a two-part formula, a wet mix and a dry mix that are combined before application. Each kit comes with two colors. Pine is a dark green and comes in a larger amount than olive, which is a lighter green with brown undertones. This one's intended to be our accent color, representing new moss growth and giving that authentic dimensional look to our faux moss project. Now I'm going to apply Moss Effects to this little wooden chair that we picked up at a craft store, just so you can see how easy it is to use both horizontally and vertically, and how it can add that realistic, natural element to your designs, while also being tough and resilient to the kind of traffic we see in the haunted attraction industry. I've lined up my tools for this project. I'll be using a palette knife. I have a couple here, but really any old palette knife will do. I also have an assortment of synthetic bristle paintbrushes. I only need one, but I just wanted to show you that any of them will work. However, it is important to use a smooth synthetic bristle so that the moss will stick on your project instead of building up in your brush. I need a bin of clean water to wash my brush. We'll do that frequently, as well as some paper towels to dry off our brush. We don't want to water down our moss with an overly wet brush. To mix our moss, we will need a container large enough to hold both the wet and dry mixes. And we recommend using a drill and a paint mixer attachment for a really thorough mix.
We're going to start with the two larger containers. They're both labeled Pine. One is a liquid and one is a dry mix. We'll dump both of these containers into the mixing bucket and mix them thoroughly with the drill mixer. The combination is going to look like this. It'll be a sludgy sort of consistency that you can easily scoop up with a palette knife. I start by scooping a little of the faux moss onto the edge of my palette knife and holding it to the surface of my project, just where I want to apply it. Then I use my brush to slide it off of the knife and tap it into place. Now this is my favorite way to apply Moss Effects. I like it because I can get a really precise application, but for larger projects, it can be stippled on with a large brush. You can apply it with your fingers or even grab it in handfuls and throw it at your surface for really cool, random splatter effects. So what you don't see in this video, because it's so sped up for time purposes, is that I'm washing my brush really frequently. Every time it comes out of the frame, I'm washing it out because that product will build up in there, and then it starts to stick to your brush, and it's just not easy to apply after that. Now, once I'm satisfied with the amount of dark green or pine colored moss that I have on my project, I'm going to let it dry. Now, depending on temperature and humidity, it could take up to 24 hours to dry, but we'll know when it's dry when it's hard. It hardens like stone. Then we will repeat the same process with our olive colored moss. I'm just going to show a few snippets here of the olive application. We don't typically use as much of the olive as we do the pine because, again, we use it as an accent. When you're done, any extra Moss Effects can be stored in an airtight container for future use. After mixing, Moss Effects may thicken over time. So if you plan to store the excess, I recommend grabbing a bottle of our Moss Effects Rehydrate to get it back to that freshly mixed consistency. So there you have it. That was 916 Productions Fear Finish Moss Effects. I hope you enjoyed our tutorial.